Hey, fourth grade, Mr. Gambruti here in our third video of our fraction series. And in this video, we're going to take a look at some STAAR test questions that have to do with comparing fractions. So we're going to look at some different questions, talk about strategies, how to show your work, and then how to come up with your answers. So in this question, it says, which statement about the fractions 5/6 and 5/8 is true? So it gives us some different comparisons with symbols, and we need to make sure that we are finding the true statement. So when you have a question like this and they provide you the fractions, the first thing we're going to do is model those fractions and come up with our own solution, and then see if our solution matches one of the answer choices. So we're going to draw our rectangle and start getting our fraction bars created. So we're going to split this in half to create 2 bars. And the first thing we're going to do is represent 5/6. Now I know 6 is going to be in the family of 3, 6, 12. And before we can do 6, we have to do thirds. So we're going to divide it into 3 equal parts, and then we're going to cut those 3 parts in half. And then we're going to shade in 5 of them. Numerator tells us to shade in 5. All right, so now for the bottom fraction, 5/8. So we're looking at the denominator. We need 8 equal parts. So 8 is going to be in the fraction family of 2, 4, 8. So first thing we need to do is make halves. So we're going to cut our fraction in half. Then we're going to take those halves and cut them in half, and that's going to give us fourths. And then we're going to take those fourths and cut them in half to get eighths. Okay, we've got our 8 equal parts, and the numerator tells us to shade in 5. 3, 4, 5. Okay, so now all we have to do is take a look and make our comparison. Well, right away I notice that 5/6 is very close to 1 whole. 5/8 is just a little bit past 1/2. So I know that 5/6 is going to be greater than 5/8. Okay, so now all I'm going to do is look for this answer as one of my choices. Now, what I do have to be careful about is sometimes they'll write the inverse of that. So they'll give me the less than. They'll actually write as the answer 5/8 is less than 5/6. So make sure you know how to write your comparison statements both ways, with a greater than statement and a less than. So I know they're not equal, so I can get rid of A. So 5/6 is greater than 5/8. That part is right. 5/6 is less than 5/8. That one is incorrect. And then this one says 5/6 is greater than 5/8. So those 2 parts are right. So now we need to figure out why they are different. So which one is incorrect? So because 6 are larger than 8. So they're saying, are the pieces in 6 larger than 8? So is the size of this piece larger than 8? And the answer is yes. 6 are bigger than 8. Okay, and so this one says 6 are less than 8. That is incorrect. So what we have to remember is when we're looking at the denominator, the bigger the denominator, the smaller the piece size is. So 8s are going to be a smaller piece. As your denominator gets larger, you're cutting your whole into more pieces, therefore your piece size shrinks down. So smaller denominators like 6 actually mean bigger piece sizes. So the correct answer on this problem is going to be B. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at problem number 2. And so if you'd like to get some scratch paper and you want to work this out on your own, or work it out and show your visual representation alongside with me, go ahead and do that. You can always pause the video, do the work on your own, and then unpause it and see how you did. In this question, Johnny bought a pizza. He ate 2/8 of the pizza for lunch and 1/2 of the pizza for dinner. Which comparison of these fractions is true? So we are comparing 2/8, and we want to find out which symbol is going to go in the box to make the comparison true. And we're going to be comparing it to 1/2. So we're going to draw our model. We're going to draw our large fraction bar, divide it in half. Now, one of the things I notice is the denominators, halves and eighths, they are in the same fraction family. So that means when I'm partitioning my bars, I can actually do this for both of them. So the first thing I'm going to do is divide both bars in half. And so now I can represent 1/2 here at the top or the bottom. And then 2/8. So I'm going to continue on to get to eighths. I'm going to divide this in those halves in half to get fourths. And now I can take my fourths and divide those in half to get eighths. And now all I have to do is just shade in looking at the numerator. So I'm going to shade in 2/8. And then I'm going to shade in 1 of the halves. All right, and now I'm going to just visually compare them. I can tell that 1/2 is right at the middle, closer to 1 whole. 2/8 is closer to 0. So 1/2 is definitely larger than 2/8. 2/8 is less than 1/2. And then just the other way to write it, 1/2 is greater than 2/8. So now all I'm going to do is look at my answer choices and find out which one matches. So when I look at my answer choices, H stands out. That's going to be the worst answer. I can clearly see that they're not equal. 1/2 is not less than 2/8. So J, I know, is wrong. And then now F and G are my two choices left. 2/8 is greater than 1/2. We know that is incorrect. 2/8 is less than 1/2. That matches which one of the comparisons that I wrote. So G is going to be my answer. All right, we're going to take a look at our final problem today. It says Henry has completed 4/5 of his chores. His sister Georgia has completed 5/8 of her chores. Which person has completed a greater fraction of his or her chores? So we're going to be comparing 4/5 to 5/8. So we're going to represent this problem by drawing a model of each fraction. Okay, here's our two fraction bars. Now our first fraction, we're going to be dividing it up into fifths. Okay, so we want 5 equal parts. So there's our fifths. And then our second bar, we're going to be dividing into eighths. So we're going to be finding the middle, dividing that in half, dividing those in half to get fourths. And then we're going to be dividing those fourths in half to get eighths. And then all we have to do is shade in what our numerator tells us to shade in. So we've got 4/5 that we're going to shade in. And then in red, we're going to shade in 5/8. And then we're going to go ahead and visually compare. So we can tell 4/5 is almost 1 whole. It's just one single piece away from being the entire whole. 5/8 is a lot less. It's 3 pieces away. So we can see that 4/5 is greater than 5/8. And then just the inverse way to write that, 5/8 is less than 4/5. Okay, so 4/5 is Henry, and Georgia was 5/8. The question asks us which person has completed a greater fraction of their chores. Henry has completed the greater fraction. So we can eliminate B, we can eliminate D. Now we just have to decide which of these statements are true. 5/8 is greater than 4/5, or 4/5 is greater than 5/8. So C is going to be the false statement with that comparison. A is going to be the correct comparison. So our answer is going to be A. All right, fourth grade. So that's going to be a few examples of how you're going to be tested on STAAR with comparing fractions. So again, our strategy is just create